And bringing the discussion back to studio, Ami, what do you think about Trump's prompter performance?
I thought it was a pretty strong performance. I think what most people are talking about, what I thought most interesting was some of the terms that he started using. This new one called extreme vetting, which I don't really know what it's about. He didn't really elaborate on it, how he's going to vet people that are coming from Muslim states coming into Israel. He had a lot of issues with Syrians coming in and the refugee plan of Syrian refugees coming into the state. And also he talked about banning people who practice Sharia, which is something, by the way, that Newt Gingrich actually popped up a few weeks ago before the conventions, if you remember, and he got a lot of critique for that. It was an interesting speech. I think it might be a little too late. I mean, I don't know if it's going to help him get it out of this hole that he's been digging himself in the past few weeks, trying to look a bit more responsible, a bit more calm and calculated, which is what the Clinton campaign is trying to do, taint him as someone who is not responsible to hold office. If this speech is going to help, I'm not so sure about that.
And Owen, what do you think with Trump backtracking on a lot of the things he said and claiming that NATO now is an important ally and that he indeed is the one who made them fix their policy?
Right. He made NATO fix his policy. He was right about the oil fields. He was right about the Iraq War. Of course, not uncommon for presidential candidates to try to defend their positions. Definitely a focus in this speech. Look, in terms of NATO, I don't know that this is as new as everyone is making it out to be. Trump had talked in the past about NATO being obsolete and had called on it to fight terrorism, but the reality is NATO's been on the issue of fighting terrorism for a number of years. In fact, it's been one of the fissures within NATO. What should this organization be? Should it be a more terrorism-facing, Mediterranean-facing organization, or should it continue to be a more Russian-facing organization, as some of the Eastern European and Baltic countries would want? That fight within NATO is not over, much to maybe Mr. Trump's chagrin, but certainly this issue of terrorism is something that's on NATO's radar screen, is something that's important to them, and something that they're going to be involved in.
Indeed, Trump, of course, taking the credit to himself in that respect. Now, looking at Clinton coming to Pennsylvania, a blue-collar state, trying to kind of weigh in and get some of those votes. Does she even stand a chance against Trump in Pennsylvania, Ami?
She does. The polls say that she's now leading by a pretty comfortable lead, 8 to 9 points. Some have it at 10 points. You know what? When I was at the conventions a few weeks ago, a lot of people, that was only 2 weeks ago, by the way. Look how things have changed. Yeah. People were talking about Pennsylvania being a swing state. A lot of people were talking about two really scary polls for Democrats. That CNN poll back then that Trump was leading 55 to 45, and a Nate Silver prediction that he had a 58-something per chance of winning the election. Nobody's talking about that anymore. It's only been 2 weeks. Pennsylvania is not the only swing state that she's now leading. Ohio and other states. Some polls have already having over 270 the electoral votes if the elections were held today. So she's in a very, very good position, particularly in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is very interesting. It was a swing state. It isn't anymore, it looks like it.
Not being called a swing state anymore. And Owen, interestingly enough, I'd like your opinion to touch upon the New York Times report over Trump's campaign chair, Paul Manafort, who's basically calling him a secret ledger showing payments from the former Russia-friendly Ukrainian government. Paul Manafort, of course, today denied any of these accusations. How is this going to play in?
Well, we'll have to see. Just to go back a little bit what the accusations are, what the findings are, that there was a raid on this party office in Kiev, in the capital of Ukraine, on the party that was the pro-Russian party for which Paul Manafort had worked as a political consultant, and they had a ledger of cash payments, and $12.7 million in cash payments were listed as being given to Paul Manafort. Now, Manafort has said he never got the money, and in any case, Manafort has said he was working for this party and for its candidate in any case, so of course he was being paid by them. The insinuation is that this money wasn't just for his work for the campaign, but maybe for him lobbying in Washington on behalf of the group without registering as a foreign agent, or maybe as some kind of other payment for him to use his influence within the Trump campaign on behalf of the pro-Russian camp in Ukraine or Vladimir Putin and his allies more broadly. We'll have to see what this means for the campaign. Now, it's true that the issue of Paul Manafort's ties to Putin and Donald Trump's ties to Putin is not new, so I don't know that this adds any new information to that or any new information that voters didn't know, but we'll have to see. And again, there were echoes of pro-Putin sentiment in this speech last night, which may again strengthen this feeling. How much it will actually matter to the average voter in Youngstown or Scranton, I really don't know.
By the way, this thing really ballooned. If you saw on social media after the former campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, tweeted this. As you remember, these two people did not get along at all.
Absolutely. Which would, of course, explain maybe some of his resentment. Owen Altman, Ami Kaufman, thank you as we move along.